Hello, everybody. Welcome to this gaming face punch. No, wrong podcast. Monkey Nut Punch. Pop culture and film review podcast with me. I don't know. In my head, I said Monkey Nut Punch, but the word gaming face punch came out.
I think it's because I was with you yesterday. Yeah, special guest on the gaming face punch. I mean, the reviews are in. Apparently, I'm going to replace Nigel and Babster, but those are the rumors.
But you've got to learn how to talk in a Brummy accent, I'm afraid, and dye your hair ginger.
Really? It's all right then. I mean, I can dye my hair ginger, but talking in a Brummy accent. I'm sorry, Babster. I'm only joking. So what are we talking about this week?
Talking about, if you want to talk about Star Wars Ahsoka.
Oh, I just want to say it was shit, right?
And we're going to talk about. I watched the first episode of The Boys Generation V.
Yeah.
And we are going to finish off by talking about Star Trek First Contact. And I hopefully have an interesting take behind the correct theme of that film. And it's not the thing that everyone thinks it is.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. Let's get our Ahsoka out of the way. Yeah, I'm beginning to see it from your perspective. I think the rebels the rebels nostalgia has worn off, right? And I think the thing that really got me was I mean, I don't think Thrawn looks quite right. The voice is perfect because it's the same person, but he does look a bit frumpy. And I've actually seen recent pictures of him, and he's still stick thin. So it's not the actor. This has been done on purpose, which I don't quite understand. Right? There's all these people saying, still sort of speculating. It's not. You see, I'm having a brain freeze. Jedi kid. What's his name?
Oh, I have no idea. I can't.
Ezra.
So you expecting me? You expecting me to remember this?
Yes.
I'm having therapy to forget this.
Ezra. They're all saying it's not Ezra. But I don't think it's that sophisticated. But basically, Thrawn doesn't look right. They didn't do the correct facial features, and we get to the point where Ezra's finally going to get into a battle, and he refuses to take the lightsaber. Sabine tries to give him the lightsaber, going, "You're the Jedi," and he's just going around force pushing people, which is really lame, right? And they're saying, "Oh, it's not Ezra. It's not Ezra. He's some kind of Night Sisters magic thing." I think it is Ezra. I think it is. I don't think it's. Put it this way: every time we get one of these series, we speculate. We go, "Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be awesome," and it never is. It never is. The only time that we've ever got something awesome is Mandalorian season 2 final, which no one saw coming. But we never had anything kind of like that since, really. It was a pile of ass, and I can see it now, and it's like. How do you have a character like Ezra Return and not give him a fucking lightsaber, right? And then you've got these two interesting characters that they've done nothing, they haven't developed their story. What's their motivation? And you have to wait until the 8th episode to find out.
Right. So from if you would have put me in charge of it, I would have. I would have had it so Ezra. I would have had it so Ezra flew the ship or piloted the fucking craft or whatever. Yeah. I said I've got this, and it's like, are you sure? I've got this. Yeah. And then they get into a fight, and then they get overwhelmed. Yeah. And then, at the moment they think they lose, all of a sudden the lightsaber comes flying over, and he's like fucking swinging it around using the Force. He just like mullers everyone, and then comes back and goes. So it's like, this is what a Jedi Knight looks like. But no, they can't do that because he's a man.
Yes, and it's all there. You're absolutely right. You can't have an all-powerful man. Although Ray, what's his face's character, kicks Ahsoka's ass again. which actually, in terms of Rebels, he wouldn't have done because she was trained by Anakin. She's meant to be using similar fighting styles. This is the one fucking time she's meant to kick a man's ass that's bigger than her because it's fucking Ahsoka. She's like in tune with the Force. And, you know, they made so many mistakes here. They should have brought back the guy that did all the choreography for the prequels. Right? They should have brought him back because Anakin still got it. Like Hayden Christian, the actor, has still got all that, and you saw that on show when they were in the World Beyond Worlds. But that showed up how lame the fighting was, and it shows up how lame Ahsoka is. Now, is it the actress? I don't know, but I should have cast somebody that was better at fighting. But her lightsaber skills are shit, and that's not true of the character that's been developed in the animation. And Ezra, just going to go around everywhere, and every time you see him, there's no real fight. You're just going ugh, like that, and he force pushes, and that's it. And it's like, really? I mean, this is meant to be the most amazing thing, and there's people going on, "Oh, I loved it." I mean, even Star Wars Theory admitted that he didn't like this episode. It was a filler, but you feel like you're hard done by. I mean, you get these 30-minute a week episodes. There's only 8 of them, and they use one of them as a filler. Fuck off, Disney, with this shit. Why can they not learn from their mistakes? They just repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. I mean, I'm going to admit that I suffered some Rebels member berries, and that was kind of cool. But the coolness has worn off. You had Hayden Christensen back as a hologram briefly. It's like, ooh, they brought C-3PO in. Oh, wow.
Oh, I heard. Oh my god, I heard this.
Yeah.
I saw screenshots of it.
It's like we had an entire 10-minute scene that we did not need, but it was just to have more powerful whamming, and it was surprise whamming.
Do you know what gets me? What gets me is that you can write powerful women and make them fucking interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of my favourite characters of all time is Avasarala in The Expanse. Yeah. She is fucking powerful. She's like the Queen of Earth for all intents and purposes.
I adore
in that story.
And I've always argued the toss with Nige because he hates her voice. It's like, no, fuck off. Avasarala is awesome.
She is. Like, there's that episode where they they're trying to warn the current president in charge that more rocks are going to drop, and it's thingy. And she tries to go through all the staff, and then she's been like blacklisted because she's been saying, "Oh, it's Marco Linares is going to try something," blah blah blah. And then she phones the chef, and it's brilliant. We show how clever she is by going, you know what? Okay, fair enough. I can't talk to the staff. I can't talk to the actual stuff. I'll talk to the other stuff. Yeah. So he talks to the chef and gets him to pass it on, and then she has the tragic thing with having to witness the current president die because of a rock being dropped.
Kind of deserved it.
And then you got Bobby too. Is another interesting female character, and she's not girl boss. Yeah, she pretends to her and Amos get into dick waving competitions, but that's more Earth and Mars sort of thing, because he's from Earth and she's from Mars.
It's good.
But actual fucking characters, but these aren't characters.
No,
this is the thing. Is it?
Star Wars has powerful women characters. I mean, it did pre-Disney. Leia Organa was a powerful, almost probably the original. And. But you're right about Avasarala and Bobby. I love Avasarala. I love Bobby. I love Bobby as well. But both well cast though.
It just reminded me of one of those lines where it's come to the end of the second story, which is in the middle of the middle of the third season, where she's chasing down the proto-molecule creature. And Avasarala's trying to convince her, goes, "Oh, this won't bring your people back. This is stupid, blah, blah, blah." And then she goes, "For the first time in your life, you shut the fuck up." And the response fits with the character, and it's interesting. Give me something interesting. It's like, I'm not going to call her Hera. She's going to be called the Green One. I've seen screenshots of her, and she looks obnoxious from the screenshot.
okay, I don't know. I haven't seen the actress in many films, right? I know that she happens to be, I mean, what's it? Ewan McGregor's daughter calls her a homewrecker because arguably that's the reason that Ewan McGregor split up from his original wife. Actually, I don't think that's entirely true. But she is badly cast as Hera. Hera was quite short. Hera had very ethereal facial features. I mean, this is why most of the time the green skinned Star Wars aliens have always been played by black women because of their facial features. They're smooth, they're ethereal, they're round.
I,
Or
not
Natalie Portman looking kind of person. But that's what Hera is. And the facial features are wrong. The voice is wrong. She's too tall. She's too. She's not feminine enough. And I know that. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but she's not. There's a distinct unfemininity about her. And Hera was feminine.
Hera, she was the mum.
Yes.
She played mum.
Yes.
Sabine played little sister. Ezra played little sister. Zeb played big brother. Chopper was the dog, and Kanan was the dad. Yeah.
But, I mean, Hera was one to reckon with, and I don't know, she's just badly cast in this. I know what you mean by the Sabine actress now. I mean, at least the only thing I'll say is that she looks more like Sabine than the actress that plays Hera. But no, I've reluctantly I watched it the other day and I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's right.
I need you to buy a T-shirt with Gareth was right written on it.
No, I'm just gonna say, fuck's sake, he's right. An arrow pointing that.
Come on.
It's just annoying. But I know. Look, I think everybody's like, there is a hype for the final episode. People are going, oh, it's not going to be Ezra. It's going to be Burn. Ezra's going to be locked up somewhere. No, it's Ezra. I'm going to say it now. It's not Night Sister magic. It's Ezra. It's going to finish on a cliffhanger. It's not going to be.
When you
what
say,
everybody
what's
thinks.
this thing? Because I remember I've seen bits in passing and commentary from people. What's this thing you're talking about? It's that you're saying it's Ezra.
They're saying it's not Ezra. They're saying when she meets Ezra, it's not really Ezra. It's Night Sister magic, and the real Ezra is somewhere else. That's the going theory, and it's quite widely been spread around. I just think it's whatever. It's a bit like when we watched what was it? The first Marvel series, the one that I hated, and then we started getting excited because it was starting to do things and it was hinting Mephisto, wasn't it? And then they just didn't do anything, and it was a wet fart.
Yeah. You're talking the Scarlet Witch one, yeah.
Yeah, and Boba Fett, where we thought, oh, Luke's going to come in, with thing, and that was a wet fart. Series 3 of The Mandalorian, an entire wet fart. That entire fucking season was a wet fart. And now this, and I think it's going to be a wet fart again because I just don't think Disney can. Disney just is incapable of creating Star Wars. I mean, it's a miracle that Andor kind of got made, and it's a miracle that Rogue One got out in the way it did. It's the only film that I maintain that is any good out of Disney. And it's not because of the Vader bit. I like what they did with the whole story. I think they at least set up interesting characters.
All right, I will admit the following: it is a story.
Yes.
It's definitely a story, whether I like it or not. Someone definitely wrote the story and followed it through, and they had characters in there, unlike when you do all these other things. Anyway, let's just quickly say hello to a few people. First in, always, Biffa. How we doing?
Hey, buddy.
Then we've got Out to Be a Stupid Gamer. Bought mouse, not a magic mouse. So I'm not having to use this thing because you can't play games with this thing. See if we can do anything later.
I don't own a magic mouse either. I wouldn't go near it. I got the fucking best mouse in the world.
It came with the Mac.
I know. I refuse to use them.
And we've got Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
But yeah, so no, I'm on your way of thinking on Ahsoka. before we talk about Gen V, there was an interesting interview this week
Okay.
with Stephen Moffat.
Ah.
Now, I know that he likes to dick with fans and press, but when he
Yeah.
was asked, and of course he was going to be asked this question, right? Are you writing for Russell again? He gave a politician's answer.
Okay.
I mean, a proper politician's answer, neither a confirmation or a denial. So I have a feeling that Mr. Moffat may have been persuaded to pen an episode or two for the new
Right.
Doctor.
There is an episode. There is an interview with them at some party somewhere, and they are talking about Doctor Who. And they asked Russell T Davies whether he would come back. To which Russell T Davies then goes, "Whoosh," and then fucks off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moffat's with him too, and he's like he's biting his lip to turn around and say, maybe both of us are back. You have to remember that those first seasons that Russell T Davies did, he lent a lot on Stephen Moffat.
Hmm.
He lent a lot on Stephen
Well, I
Moffat
mean, you can
to get things
argue
sorted.
that the best episodes of the Russell T Davies era were written by Moffat. You had, Blink, which
Yeah.
I had a student and I was talking to a Chinese student and lovely, lovely girl, and she wanted to know about Doctor Who. I said, go watch Blink. She's a massive fan because of that one episode. And I went, bump, gateway. It's like a gateway drug, that episode.
Mm.
Um, and but I liked all of Moffat's episodes. I liked the first season, the Second World War episodes, which introduces Jack. I mean, people seem to think that Jack was a Russell T Davies creation. It wasn't. It was a Moffat creation. Um, and those were brilliant. Are You My Mummy? A fucking brilliant episodes. Um, Moffat's were the best
Yeah.
throughout. But Blink is just up there. Um, but it's
The only
interesting.
one, the only one that Russell T Davies wrote that could compare to Blink is Midnight.
Yes,
I love Midnight.
yes.
Midnight's a great one. It's a great bottle episode. It
My
is.
mum liked that episode as well. She thought it was really clever. I mean, from a psychological point of view, yeah, Midnight is pretty clever. Very cheap episode to make that one. It was
Yeah.
bloody good. Um, I believe it. I believe he is coming back. I don't think he's announcing because I think it's going to be a surprise, but I think he's penned an episode. And why wouldn't you? He loves Doctor Who. He's a genuine Doctor Who fan. He doesn't have to have all the stress of show running the fucking thing.
Mm.
So he's back and just written an episode. Well, that's where he always did so well, with Russell T Davies over a, you know,
That's
arcing thing.
right. Hang on a second. That's one thing we need to do after we finish going through the Star Trek things and the top Star Trek totty. Is we need to do our Stephen Moffat is clearly a better writer than Russell T Davies when it comes to Doctor Who, and I mean overall. I mean completely.
It's going to be a difficult one because I'm still not sure which era I prefer overall, or which era had the best episodes. I don't know. You see, because I don't think he wrote the best episode of Doctor Who when he was showrunner. That's the problem. He wrote
No.
Blink
Oh,
under Russell T Davies,
Heaven
and that is
Sent. Heaven Sent is just a fantastic piece of science fiction on its own. You can show someone that and they don't have to know just to see that there's a piece of science fiction on its own. That's how good that is.
yeah, it was good. The follow up,
Apart from fucking Hell Blent was fucking wet fart in comparison, though.
yeah. That was the problem. The next episode wasn't as good. I mean, the trouble is, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to debate that one. It's an
Yeah.
interesting one because I don't have a set opinion on that. So and in fact, you changed my mind a lot. Having watched the 11th hour more and more, I realised how fucking clever that episode is, and it was genius.
It's the
Um,
best first episode for a Doctor ever.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was a.
You cannot top that. That clearly been in Moffat for a good couple of years.
I am as well. I loved Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. and I still do love Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. But I've liked, other than Jodie Whittaker, I haven't disliked any of them. I think they've all been brilliant in their own way, and they've all had their moment to shine. Um, I I've come over to Gareth's way of thinking that I think Matt Smith is now my favourite. But then I just quite like Matt Smith. Matt Smith's a bit of a geezer. He's a bit of a bloke's bloke, and I liked that in the Doctor. The Doctor needs to be masculine, I think.
I think he should
Um,
be Michael Sheen.
yeah,
Love that.
Michael Sheen would do a damn good Doctor. But look, I'm going to give Newty or Newty Gatwa.
Shooty Gatwa.
Shooty Gatwa. I'm going to give him his dues. I'm going to give him a chance.
Yeah, I'll give him a chance too.
Because I think he can pull it off. I think there is something there. But we shall see. I am looking forward to these 3 episodes, whether they pan out as good. But sorry, it's the 60th anniversary of one of my favourite shows of all time. I love Catherine Tate, and I loved her as Donna. She is still my favourite assistant out of all of them. She's my favourite because I just fucking loved her. Because she didn't fancy the Doctor. She gave him shit, right, when he needed to
Yes.
be given shit, right? And she didn't give it. She wasn't like, oh, he's amazing. He's an alien. He's so amazing. She was like, oi, I liked that. Stop being a dickhead.
Mm.
um, and I'm sort of looking for that.
I did. I have my. I have my favourite companions for other reasons, but I think Donna works as the best companion, if that makes any sense.
Look, you can have other companions for totty reasons and other reasons. But I mean, if we're going back, God, there's one in, is it Tegan? I can't remember the one that there was one that was
Perry.
Was it Perry? That
Perry
was
with the
really hot.
American with the.
Yeah. She was hot. She was really hot. She was proper. Oh no, I liked Rose. I liked Billy as Rose. I thought Billy as Rose was really good. I liked that entire section. I liked the actress that played her mum. I thought Rose was great. Um, Rose and her mum were great. I've liked, Martha. We didn't get enough of. Really, we only got Martha for one season. Um, but I love Donna is my favorite because of that, because of the relationship there and the Doctor. But yes, anyway, um, I just thought that was interesting the way Mr. Moffat answered that question. So I'm going to call it. I think he's going to have written an episode.
It's a two-parter, isn't it?
Possibly.
It's a
Although,
two-parter. Come on, right. So what was it? There was the guy who wrote Flatline. He made him write 3 episodes because he wrote Mummy on the Orient Express. He wrote Flatline and a third one, and it was Moffat turned around and goes, "Okay, write me an episode and see if it's any good." And he was like, "Not sure about this. Can you write me another episode?" And he went, "Okay." And then he goes, "Can you write me a third episode?" He got to write 3 episodes, and they were all good. But he was like kind of Jamie Matheson, I think, or Matthew. So anyway, he was that was one of the guys I was hoping might have taken over instead of Chibnall, because Chibnall's ones were. Chibnall ones were.
they were all bad. They were all bad, and yeah, I said my piece about that last week, and I think the BBC has a lot to answer for there. But we will see what Mr. Davis does to right the ship. So anyway, Gen V, the boys spin-off series Gen V. Have you only watched the first episode? You've not
I
seen.
only watched the first episode. All right, so that I was on board, and it kind of went teen drama-y, and that's when it kind of lost me. And then it went back. It was I can't I struggle with teen drama shit. So it was yeah, that kind of put me off. There looks like there's some interesting things in there's an overall theme that I'm not too happy with in there. I'll explain towards the end. Pardon?
Well, there's definitely the thing was right. The thing I noticed that I think I was sitting there thinking about the most was it's just the boys with different characters. I'm not sort of shocked by the blood and gore anymore. You know, when she becomes a midget and hangs off his cock, and they show
That
that.
right,
Like,
but I was just.
that was.
I'm sure there's some broadcast regulation saying that you can't show an erect penis on TV.
Dude, they had a freaking little guy running into a man's penis in the last season of The Boys, and then
Do you think they were
exploding
like, we've
out
still
of
got,
it.
we've still made that giant penis, guys, so we can get some more use out of it?
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what they were doing there. So, I mean, but again, none of it was shocking. It was none of it was new. Nothing felt new about it. I mean, by the third episode, the story is hooked me enough to want to know where it's going. Um, but it misses Carl Urban. It
And it
misses him.
misses Homelander too. Those two characters.
I'm getting bored of Homelander now. I think Homelander should have been killed off in this season, and they should have gone down the comic book route with Black Noir. They pussied out of that. So I feel that I don't know. I've had enough of Homelander. I like how they use the Vault girl boss, who used to be the PR girl, now the boss. I like how they used her to introduce the rest of the season. That was actually cleverly done.
Oh yes, that was quite clear. I like that end of the episode. It's like, oh well, I. It has potential. The cast aren't as standout as the cast of The Boys. You're right. Look, Homelander and Billy Butcher stick out. The guy who plays A-Train sticks out. He's quite thingy. The one who plays Huey sticks out. Mother's Milk sticks out. Frenchie sticks out. The girl sticks out. Starlight, what lady who plays Starlight, she sticks out. They have quite good screen presence in comparison to the characters you've got here. So your sound has gone, Keith. We have been spared from Keith's opinion because it's probably something stupid and he probably has to turn around and agree with what I'm saying. His docking station for his Mac is out of whack. So I'm going to just fill the air with random shit. But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's kid was in this. He played Golden Boy. It's quite interesting. And then Clancy Brown, and I still can't hear you, Keith. He played Professor Rich Brinkerhoff. So it was kind of like a weird version of the X-Men, but more university, but set in the kind of boys' universe, which is fine. They had what was her name? I think her name's Shelley Conn, who's like supposed to be like the principal that's taken over. We had that. You had a character called Emma Myers, who's we were talking about earlier, who's the one that can shrink down and expand, and she was hanging off a guy's penis in the episode, which is the standout thing. They have all this other stuff, and the thing that stands out is the penis bit. Oh, I can hear something. Keith? Oh, well. So, the plot is you follow Maria Moreau, who's got her powers. She got them when she was like 12, 13, and she accidentally killed her mum and dad. She can control blood and turn it into weapons, so she can like stamp people with it's like Sub-Zero from the latest Mortal Kombat film, where he's like kind of chucking water up, or even like he did with Scorpion's blood, and there's that. His wife is killing him. I hope his wife is killing him. If you could hear screaming at him. Hang on. He's still got no audio. Still no audio. He's trying to figure something out. I think as I said, his docking station's gone. He's got like, if you look behind him, he's got like three monitors plugged in, a load of lights plugged in, fucking keyboard, mouse, dildo making machine. He's got all this stuff plugged in, and something's got to give. It just happened to be his mic this week. He's mumbling away to himself there. So I want to talk about this, but I need to bounce off of Keith. He's quite big. It's easy to bounce off of him. So, Dear podcast listeners, for those who've downloaded the podcast and listening on audio, I'm currently watching a screen of Keith fumbling around with cables and maybe scratching his nuts as we try to get the audio back because somehow he's balked up everything, because it's a polite way of saying it. Oh, he's come back, but his quality's not quite there.
Right, how's that?
His office looks like Darth Vader's bathroom.
What's that? Stupid game.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. That reminds me of the Peter Serafinowicz joke where Darth Vader goes into the ladies' toilets. And he goes, "This is the ladies' toilets." And Darth Vader goes, "I thought that was a picture of me with a cape."
Right, I think my extension might have a problem. So I'll fix it later. But there we go. I'm working again now. I don't think the sound's going to drop out again. But I think it's
okay. I can't remember where we were. I was trying to talk about it.
We were talking about the boys. I apologise to podcast listeners and everyone else and stupid gamer. We were talking about the boys, Gen V episode 1. And
yeah.
I think.
And his sound's gone. No, I'm not kidding you. I think maybe it's we're talking about the boys. Maybe Amazon are like trying to stop it from working. This thing probably routes through Amazon Web Services. Thought we were dissing the boys. Oh, come the fuck! I just want to talk about stuff. Anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger's kid was in it. He exploded at the end. What has he done? What have you done, Keith?
My sound isn't as good now, but
okay, that's fine.
Built in here. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with this microphone. I just have no sodding idea.
On that note.
Anyway. Can you hear me still?
So I can hear you. You want to skip this and talk about Star Trek? Because I feel like I kind of lost all fucking momentum right at the beginning.
No,
there.
Go on. I was saying I didn't like the teen drama side of it either. When they keep bringing it in, it doesn't work for me. So yeah, it doesn't work for me at all. Which is it sucks.
Yeah, and there's some politic bits in there that I don't like. With where it was the black woman gets screwed over by 2 white guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, can you just not? No, please just tell us fucking story for the love of God. But saying that, one thing I do appreciate is that she is a fucking character. She has motivations, and you understand her, and you kind of feel sorry for it, and she kind of feels a bit like Harry Potter at Hogwarts more than anything else.
True. Yes.
So she's a character, which I will appreciate because I do like that, even though they've done dumb shit. But yeah, it is lacking those kind of larger than life kind of actors playing the parts. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very subdued. It's like if I think the closest thing I could compare it to is probably Smallville. If you wanted to compare it to something, but with sex and blood and people explosion.
It definitely feels like the boys because you keep getting you get the cameos from the deep. I mean, he turns up a couple of times. And I mean, you start by the 3rd episode. You sort of there is a conspiracy going on. It's like who's in on it, what do they know, why are they doing this, what is it? So there's enough of a hook to keep me intrigued, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but not sure. Not sure at the moment.
In the boys, there are a group of heroes which are like a piss take of the X-Men. I cannot remember what they're called. Really can't remember what they're called. I'm gonna Google it. But I thought it was going to be about them.
Yeah, I don't I don't think it is. I don't know. It's it just didn't excite me. Put it that way. It didn't.
Yeah, it didn't grip you. You didn't watch it. You were ungripped
I
watching
wasn't
the episode.
gripped enough. Put it that. Yeah, I wasn't gripped enough to. Yeah.
Unlike Matey's cock. Um, sorry. It's just the most fucking of all the things that you want to put in your first episode.
Yeah, but again,
Relax.
I think that was done for shock value, and it's like, why are you doing it? It didn't. To me, it didn't. You knew they were trying to shock you, but I've seen it before in The Boys.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything particularly new. You're not sort of doing anything that we haven't really seen. It's not like you've suddenly decided to do something that is new and shocking. You've done this already in The Boys. Why are you doing it again? I don't know. I felt like they were trying to shock, but it wasn't working particularly well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it is strange that that's the bit that sticks out.
But yeah,
I will watch 4 episodes of it, and then I'll decide at the end of the 4 episodes. You get the 4 episode thing there. So we will see. We'll talk about it next week. See if anything exciting happens, and we can talk about the last episode of Ahsoka. And you can then tell me how disappointed you are in the whole fucking thing. And I can turn around and say, well, but it was obvious. It was. I can predict a plot as much as anyone else, and this one didn't have one. So, Star Trek. Let's talk about something nice. Star Trek First Contact.
So
now,
yeah, go on.
So, I watched it, and if I ask the internet what the theme of it is, yeah, the theme of it is about probably they would say it's overcoming. It's a mixture of overcoming trauma and the human spirit, something along those lines. Yeah. No, it's not. Do you know what it's secretly about?
What's it secretly about?
And when you watched it, if you watched it recently, you'll understand this. Crazy ex-girlfriends.
Huh?
Possessive crazy ex-girlfriends. I watched it and I'm like, every bit with the Borg Queen in, she seems like a crazy ex-girlfriend who's stolen a car and driven it through the front window of your business or the place that you work at. That's the impression I got from the entire thing. There are some bits that I would have changed if I was put in charge of it. But if you listen to how she describes the relationship between her and Jean-Luc, and how she reacts between her and Data, so she's like a crazy ex-girlfriend who's taking revenge on her boyfriend, yeah, who dumped her unceremoniously a couple of years back, or 7 years ago, yeah, and she's now ruining his car and his house and his clothes and stuff, and she's trying to shag his mate.
Okay. I'm not sure I see.
And hang on a second. Hold on. Wait for it. And more importantly, she's turning all his friends against him. Come on! I think that's a great take on it.
Yeah, right. It is. It is my favourite of the Next Gen movies. It is. It is. Having watched it today, and then started watching Insurrection. God damn it, you're making me watch that one as well.
I've got a feeling I'm going to watch Insurrection. I'm not going to be as harsh on it as I was the first time around.
No,
I think I'll be a bit more forgiving.
I haven't been as harsh with it so far, but I'm not halfway through yet.
So my problem with this film is it does what Crimes of Grindelwald does. We're supposed to have the cool bit in the middle, Act 2, and then Act 3 is kind of a resolution. It sags. It kind of sags a bit in the middle. And it could have done with a bit of rejiggery. Like when the Borg cube is attacking Earth, yeah, it should have launched the probe out in the middle of the attack, and the Enterprise should have followed it. So when the Enterprise comes back, it's got to fight the Borg cube. Yeah, so you get a big kind of explosive ending rather than Picard going.
Yeah,
Because it would have been a bit more cinematic. But that's something you could have just. It was something easy, really easy fix. But it was one of those things. So the scenes I like in it was the was it Lily? What's her name?
yes.
Lily.
Yeah, I know her name is Lily. Yes.
It's Lily. So when Lily is she puts him in his place because the crew want to fucking get off the ship and blow it up. She's like, what the and she's literally, I like it because it's like kind of, I don't work here and I can see you're talking shit. Yeah. Done really well. Really, really well. Apparently the bit where he smashes the cabinet behind him is improvised.
Yes.
Just lost his fucking rag.
No, is my sound any better now?
Your sound sounds better, but you're derp face.
Yeah.
You sound like you're in a toilet now, where before it was the best quality from 1996.
I can see me moving in there. Okay, that's well, at least it's better now. I was going to say, she walks in and is like, Captain Ahab's got to go, get his whale, and then he quotes it, and she's like, I never read it. But she's right. But she makes him, and then she goes to him, you broke your little ships when because he blows up. She intentionally winds him up to get him to explode, which I think is a brilliant scene actually. And he does explode, and he puts his phaser rifle through the glass and breaks the golden ships. And I love the way she goes to him. Oh, you broke your little ships. And there's some good humor in it. There's actually more humor in Insurrection, funny enough, but there's some good humor in it. And I like the bit where they rescue Worf at the beginning, and he asks Picard, how's the Defiant? He goes, it's adrift but salvageable. And then Riker goes, tough little ship, little. Which I thought was actually, Worf, it is a little ship. It's a tough little ship, but it is a little ship.
Yes, I would have. They blew that load right at the beginning. That's my problem.
I don't know. I think the story and and everything that carries on. I quite like the story. It's a more insular one, isn't it? It's a more sort of, you get the big battle scene at the beginning, but then you get this sort of Borg invading, and it's all a bit. I don't mind it that much. I think it happens very quickly at the beginning. It's a bit of a rush. The Borg. There's no build up. Oh, the Borg are invading. Boom. But that's not what the story's about. It's about
a crazy ex-girlfriend who wants to turn all your friends against you and destroy your shit.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, this film did a lot for the Borg, though. I mean, it made the Borg more scary. It gave us the Super Borg.
I wouldn't have said it made them more scary. The scariest the Borg was in Q Who. The Q Who episode of the Borg is the one where because he's just like, kind of, you don't quite know, do you, Picard? He goes, think about it. A computer that uses you rather than you use it. Like that, not a boy, not a girl, just interested in your ship, because it's not interested in you. You're an ant in comparison. That's when the Borg was the scariest, yeah? Carves a bit of the ship off, yeah? And like kind of, and Riker says, like, carve this up like a Sunday roast. That's when the Borg was the scariest. My issue is that they ripped a load of alien stuff off from Aliens, which isn't a bad thing, I'll be honest with you. Mm. Temperature going up. It's a dry heat, man. Yeah. So this, like, I like that. It was very, very well done. I'm not complaining. I'm highlighting, not complaining. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with the temperature going up, because it's a nice little kind of nod to that, and then them having the Queen, because in Alien, you know, you had an alien running around that was scary. Then you had more of them, and then it finished topped off with the Queen. Kind of didn't I? From my perspective, I always like to think of the Borg as the like kind of like space marauder sort of thing, like that Borg cube that you came across in Best of Both Worlds. If that was left to carry on, where it was a 3 kilometer by 3 kilometer cube, years later that'd be like a 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer cube, where it just kept on building and kept on getting bigger, where it just assimilating everything come across, wasn't connected to anything, it was just it on its own, and there were other Borg cubes doing their shit on their own too. But that's me. That's not them, and that's not Star Trek. That's just how I perceive things. It's like the kind of Lovecraftian kind of unknown sort of bit about it, and then when you gave the Borg Queen in there, you kind of put a more known in there, if that made any sense, because you can have a conversation with them, and the idea of not being able to have a conversation with them. Yeah, I that's me. But yeah, it's still a good film. No, I'm not complaining. I am complaining because I'm a git. But it's still a good film, and I still put my money on. It's the story of a crazy ex-girlfriend who steals a car, smashes it through the front glass window of the place that you work, where your colleagues are trying to stop them, and then she tries to turn all your friends against you and tries to shag your best mate.
I mean, this film came out, I think, when I was 16 or 17. And I went to the premiere of this. I went to the London premiere at the Empire in Leicester Square. And it's the only movie that I've ever been in where people have clapped and cheered. And I don't know, I suppose I have special memories of this film. But I always remember I loved the look of the Enterprise E. I thought the Enterprise E was the coolest fucking ship I'd ever seen in Star Trek. And I still think it is. I think the Enterprise F is a fat duck.
Right, hang on a second. I like the Enterprise E, but I don't like the deflector color needs to be blue. Sorry.
Yes, this is where I agree with you, and I also don't like the interior. I didn't like the golds and the browns. I always wanted. Voyager always had the cooler interior. Voyager had the cooler bridge. Yes, because it lights up blue, but blue is cool. And
it has to be blue. Yes.
But I mean, come on. I mean, Voyager Bridge was a cooler bridge. Voyager's bridge was bigger, more practically laid out. I don't know. Voyager's bridge was a cooler bridge set than the Enterprise E set, and I always felt a bit let down by its interiors. Do love Robert Picardio's little cameo as the DMH there. I thought that was brilliant.
I like that too. That's fan service done right, because it's contextually correct. It's like shit. Let's use the holographic doctor to distract them. And he wasn't the only one who had that. Neelix had a cameo.
He does, yes, as the sort of club owner when they do the whole mafioso shoot down of the Borg, which again I'd forgotten about that scene until today. And it was cool to see that again, and and the minute you hear him, it's like, oh, that's Neelix. That's the actor that plays Neelix. So yeah, that was cool. I'd forgotten that. You're right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I love the rock music. As they're going into space. I love that kind of like.
To be.
And you're about to do your first warp thing. You're playing some fucking rock music. Yes, love it. I liked James Cromwell as Zephyr Cochrane. I thought it was really well cast.
I liked the idea that in the head all the people in the Federation had this really idealistic view of him, where he turns around and goes, no, I did it for money. I did it for money so I can get laid on a beach somewhere. It had nothing to do with the benefit for mankind, and I appreciate that, because that's quite a nice thing.
And just before they take off, though, and I can't remember the quote, but he's complaining again, and then Riker says some line, and Cochrane goes, "Oh, that's bullshit." Anyway, who said that? It's like, you did 10 years from now. And I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that again, because it does. It shows that he's profoundly changed, and then when he meets I like the bit where when the Vulcans finally land and the Vulcan does the whole sort of hand sign thing. Like most people can't do it, and Cochrane suffers. He goes, "Oh fuck it," and then he holds out his hand, which is a love. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. I have to really think about it.
I can't do it.
It's some not everybody, but I like the bit where he struggles with it. And he goes, "Oh fuck it," and holds out his hand, which is a very human thing to do, and I love that. I like that.
You've seen the alternate version of that, haven't you?
No.
If you're not,
So
you have. In
No.
Enterprise, where he turns around and the kid blows him away with a shotgun.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. No. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And you were thinking, it must have been an extra that I missed, or in an uncut version. It was an Enterprise.
They did. That was when they did the whole Dark Universe thing and brought him back just to film that one scene. Yeah. But I like First Contact. They got Jerry Goldsmith to do the music, and the music's really good. I think it's just a genuinely great film. It introduces us to the coolest starship ever, and it still is. It still is the coolest starship ever. This is the one thing. My only problem with Picard season 3 is I like the Titan. It's kind of a but it's a bit retro. And when you come out with an Enterprise E, that ship was still the coolest. I mean, I love the Enterprise D. I completely understand why Picard did the Enterprise D as well. But the E.
It reminds me. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of. It's like the early 20th century French art that they had for the future, the stuff that inspired Centropolis. Is it Centropolis?
Yeah.
The one where they have the mechanical woman and all the workers and stuff. It looks like it was thought around and built around that, where it kind of has that kind of slightly Art Deco-ish kind of feel to it, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and it definitely does have some of that. It does, but I think it's a cool ship. I just didn't like the interior as much. In fact, I prefer the bridge of the Enterprise D to the E. They should have used Voyager set or used Voyager's colours to inspire it. But we can't have everything. The exterior of the ship is cool. I know I don't like the yellow deflector dish, but I liked the exterior scene where they're walking around it, and I liked that whole scene. It was clever. It was well done, and I like Worf coming back with the fucking arm wrapped around his leg. That's so Klingon. It's so badass. When he gets his suits, cut open, he cuts off the hand of one of the balls and uses the wire to freaking stop the leak in his suit. Cool.
And that was cool. And some of is it those ones from the deflector array that wind up in the Arctic or Antarctic for Enterprise? I can't remember.
No, it's the ones off the cube that got the part. Yeah, it's slightly artistically licensed, but no, it was the sphere that blew up. That parts of it landed in the Arctic. But you get the whole bit when they finally detach the deflector dish and it goes off. You get Wolf's one and only 80s fucking action movie thing. He goes, assimilate this. Like, yes, love it. I love it.
That was good. So I still want you to watch. I still want you to rewatch it and look at the Borg Queen as a crazy ex-girlfriend. Seriously, it makes more sense.
I know what you mean. I get it. She kind of is. She wants him back. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You are probably right. I mean, but she gets it on with Data. But is that to make Picard jealous?
Yes, because she's a crazy ex-girlfriend, and she's, as I said, all the symbolism is there. The turning the friends against them and all of that. It's See, the thing is that I know that they put some extra Borg bits in there, and I know when I saw the making of it too, the guy Michael Westmore and his son, I think it was, that were working on it, put a load of like messages hidden in the LEDs. So in the LEDs, they're all flashing up Morse code of certain bits. So it's like spelling out Riker and Picard and stuff like that, which I have no idea how many people spot. Also, you can tell the additional scenes that were put in there versus the original scenes in there because of the phaser rifles. So the phaser rifles, I think, from the original have the black rubbery grip at the beginning. Yeah, and then the other ones don't have the black rubbery grip on them because they were being used for Star Trek Voyager, and they had to get the other ones from Deep Space Nine. I love that kind of efficiency sort of thing that they've done there. But you can tell them by the type of phaser rifles that they're using. So go back and watch it, and you can see when they start using the different phaser rifles.
And I think this is the one and only time that the Enterprise E is a physical model in this movie, because I don't think it's a physical model in Insurrection. I think it was digitized for Insurrection. That's another fact that you've just reminded me of. I mean, there's lots of little facts about it, but actually, I mean, I do think it's the best of the next gen movies. Although it'll be interesting to see if I still say that in 2 weeks, having officially done Insurrection and Nemesis.
As I said, the other thing too is they don't feel as cinematic as. Actually, it doesn't feel as cinematic as Generations.
I don't know.
Because it's like something about Generations had so something about the lighting and the settings and stuff, which made it feel a bit bigger. This doesn't feel as big.
There was a problem with the way they made the Earth look. It didn't look right. Even when he's with Lily in the Jeffries tubes and he's trying to convince her that they're on a ship and he lifts up the thing, you see the Earth. It just didn't look right. It wasn't coloured right. I don't know, but they messed up the effects of Earth. In this film.
I'm sure in my version that they had it mirrored because they passed Australia and it was back to front.
Was it? Okay.
I'm gonna have to.
Weird.
I'm gonna quickly check.
But it didn't look.
I'm going to quickly check.
I mean, it really did not look right. I noticed that. Is it less cinematic than Generations? I suppose in some ways it is. Because it's a more, what's the word? I'm trying to look for the word to describe it. It's a more contained story. They didn't, it was quite low budget, and they blew a lot of budget on building the Enterprise E, and those massive sets. I mean, the engineering set is huge.
Right.
There are moments that I think are quite clever, and it's shot on film, and you can see that, and it looks cinematic. Is it as cinematic as Generations? No, I don't think. I think you're right there. I think you're right.
It's
like the uniform.
It's just. It's because they moved over to the newer uniforms, didn't they? So I'm trying to find this bit with what's so much. But it's. Oh, there we go. Have I got it? Yes.
Is it back to front?
Hang on.
Oh,
fuck it.
But
just clicked away from the thing. Hang on. Sorry.
There is some cinematic moments. I like the gangster club bit, and I'd forgotten about that whole scene. And I like the whole dance, and then he just blows him away with a Tommy gun. It would only have been the only thing that would have made that better is if Picard had a cigar in his hand. I'm going to get you, see.
Yeah.
I think I've been watching a load of mafia stuff recently. I've been watching what's it called? The Godfather of Harlem, and actually quite enjoying it. I've seen some good stuff on Disney Plus, which is not Disney Plus at all. It's Fox. So I watched the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, which was quite interesting. 10-part thing American Crime Story. Didn't know half of the story about that. That was really interesting. And I've been watching The Godfather of Harlem, and it's
Harlem,
got
is
Forrest
it?
Whitaker as Bumpy Johnson, and it's got what's his face that played Kingpin as like the main sort of mafia boss, and he's really fucking good.
Vincent
Yeah,
D'Onofrio.
yeah, he's a great actor. And I love him in this part, even though he's a bastard. Although Bumpy isn't that much nicer. And it's got what's his face from Breaking Bad as this senator come pastor who is a bit dodgy, and he plays that part so well. I mean, he just plays that part so well. Yeah. Anyway, going back to, I
It is
did
Australia
like,
is. I can't. The software's blocking me from showing.
yeah, I
But
can see that,
Australia is. But Australia is back to front on it. Hang on a
but I think
second.
that's on ITV's version because it isn't on my version.
No,
Okay.
this is on the YouTube version.
On the YouTube version.
Yeah, because they're no longer showing. They had them all on ITV and they took them off, which is fine because I didn't get adverts in there. But I had to pay
Bastards.
£3.50 to rent it. What's that?
The bastards. Let me have a look because I know where roughly it was.
45 minutes 47 seconds.
Thank you.
I've got it here. So it's annoying. I want to show it because it is Australia is backwards. You can just check by his hand. You can see quite clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Maybe not.
Oh,
actually.
yeah, you're right.
There you go. It's funny what you catch.
Oh, shit.
So they must have mirrored it for reasons.
Hang on.
And
I'm sorry, this is not great for. This is not
No,
great
it's not great for anyone listening to us on the podcast where we're sitting there checking out visual things, which we can't share because of copyright reasons on our YouTube video.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. I see it. I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my. I mean, you can kind of. Hang on. Share. How do I do this? Share.
And it's got like the pepper beans right next to it too, which is weird.
There we go.
Can you? Oh, brilliant. There we go. Now I can make my point. There we go.
Yep.
Backwards Australia with a bit of freaking pepper beans in the wrong place. That's why it looks weird.
But it didn't look right. That whole scene didn't look right.
Oh, no, it's obvious why it didn't look right.
Yeah, you're right. There you go. See, as it's not playing, it's technically not copyright.
And we're transforming it too. So.
Hang on, I missed this in the chat because I was propping around. Hello, Dave. There you go.
It says twice. I bought his book and I haven't read it, and I was supposed to read it and leave a bloody review, and I will have to do that this week. I have had such a busy time recently.
But I think to finish off, First Contact. You're right. It probably is a crazy ex-girlfriend. You are absolutely right. Although he breaks the spine of that crazy ex-girlfriend at the end, doesn't he? Because he picks up the sort of just the robotic skull and spine and snaps the spine. Like, fuck you. I like that bit.
What I really like about that last scene is that he's hanging off of that rope, yeah, and you can tell that he's not actually hanging off of that rope and he's standing on something because there's no tension in his arms. Yeah, it looks really bad. Just because I'm just watching it, it's like, oh my god. It would have been better if he just grabbed it and they just swung him across to the other side, and then he watched everything dissolve. Seeing Data without his skin, I quite liked. It's a really grim thing to say.
Well, no, it was cleverly done. It was a cleverly done effect, that one. It was very cleverly done. But this was where the strange sort of Picard-Data relationship started up, which had never really been there in the TV series. And yet, all of a sudden, Picard and Data were best buds, and it continues into Insurrection and then into Nemesis. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I like this film. I forgot. I still do. I have fond memories of it. as I said, I was at the premiere with my Star Trek com badge on. So that was the extent of my fan. I didn't go in a costume.
So gay.
No, it's not. Do you know the most embarrassing moment of my life? Right.
And you're going to share it for everyone to listen to. Okay,
no, this was Ben, because this will make you laugh and cringe at the same time, right? I can't remember which Star Wars movie it was, but we went to see a Star Wars movie at the cinema, right? And I think it was episode 3. All right, so I think we went to see episode 3 at the cinema, and we had our lightsabers, right? We've been battling it out with these lightsabers in the car park, and we thought we were the coolest fucking thing ever. And you know, there was lots of Star Wars fans there, and they loved the lightsabers, and it was really cool. Anyway, so we get into the cinema, go through all the fucking trailers, right? And you know the bit where it comes up with a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and there's no sound. It's before the ta-da bit, right? So it's deadly silent. What does my dickhead friend do? Powers up his fucking lightsaber. The entire fucking cinema looks at us. I was like, you dickhead! I've never forgotten that. So fucking embarrassing.
What I will say is that the closest I've ever been to actually being one with the Force, it involved Ben. I was over your house. I bought there was a Return of the Jedi re-released lightsaber which made the noises when you hit it and swung and everything. Yeah, I told Ben about it. He said it was the coolest thing ever. And I'm sitting in your living area, and all of a sudden I just go, I feel a disturbance in the Force, and we look out the window and Ben turns up. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. You just reminded me of it. Yes, I do. And I also remember the bit where he fucking turns up on his bike and he leaps off his bike, lets his bike drop to the floor, and whips out his fucking Force FX lightsaber. So I was like, yeah, okay, that was kind of cool. God, we're such geeks. I remember when I got the Force. I remember when I got the Force FX lightsaber, like, you know, the first one, and it had the whole effect when you ignite it. And I remember handing it to my mum. I'll never forget the fucking look on my mum's face. She was like, oh, yeah. It's the one and only time I've ever seen my mum kind of gone, this is a cool toy. And she's like, no, I'm playing with this for a minute. It's like, see, this is the one time you can't bollock me for spending £100 on a toy. Because even you think it's cool. So anyway, yes. Yeah, I'm done now. I've got to go and fix my sound problems.
Okay, hang on a second. Well, I'll leave that in the thing so next time he turns up you can press the button.
Hello, Dad.
You're my wife now.
You're my wife now, Dad.
I miss you like that. Yes, I think let's wrap this up and put a bow on it. Just thank everyone for watching and providing comments. We've got Biffa, always first in. Thank you very much. Then we've got How to Be a Stupid Gamer. I don't know what you're doing tonight, but if it involves that game that you gifted me on Steam, then cool. Well, I'll give it a go. I've got the mouse now, so I should be able to play. I just need to flip it over to Windows. Steve, thank you very much, Steve, for joining us. Always appreciated it. Appreciate it. Sorry. Got Chuck and Laurie. Thank you very much for joining us, Chuck and Laurie. I'm still waiting for Iceland. I am waiting for Iceland. I want to see what happens in Iceland. I'm really curious for that when it comes over, so you can pop over to their channel and watch their New York videos at the moment, which aren't as exciting as Iceland. I want Iceland. Give me Iceland. And I don't mean
he went into a supermarket, bought some frozen sausages, grilled them up. That's his Iceland video.
That's the UK.
They won't get that joke. They will not get that joke. You'll only get that if you're English.
That's why mums go to Iceland.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. So we'll do that. New York stinks here. Yes, I forgot that you're a New Yorker. Yes, I want to share Ireland too. Brooklyn's insane. Crikey, I'm just now I'm catching up on
Brooklyn. I saw that. I saw that. That was Bangkok levels of flooding. That was impressive. We get
What?
that like weekly in Bangkok, but at this time of year. But that was mad seeing that in New York. That was insane. Or Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't. What do you call it? Ah,
Yes. Yeah.
you're a New
I
Yorker
forgot that.
too. Wow. There's 2 New Yorkers and, well, 3 New Yorkers actually. It's a lie. Because is Chuck technically a New Yorker? Because he lives out upstate New
Upstate.
York, doesn't he?
Yeah, upstate.
Pardon?
Yeah,
He's
upstate
upstate New York.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
that is
can,
mad.
Yeah, I can understand what you guys are going through. We've been having it all week. We don't flood here, but the main road does. And yeah, what I've seen over Brooklyn, Bangkok does it like every week because it's thinking. Anyway,
Yes.
that's another
Oh,
another thing.
and
Go
sorry, and I forgot to mention something.
Hello, Dave.
Our friend Dave's an author, and he's written a couple of books. You can look him up on Amazon under David Pratt, and you can look him up on Audible under David Pratt, and you can listen to Nigel's lovely dulcet tones as he reads the story of Bladefoot. It's somewhere between Bambi and The Land Before Time. So yes,
I'm being back before time. Actually, that's a pretty good analogy.
if you've read it, then you understand roughly where I'm coming from.
No, I have read it.
Apart
I've
from-
listened to Nigel's dulcet tones as well. I have the audio book. I downloaded the Audible. So yes,
Well done.
right.
Thank you very much.
Anyway,
I've made some money off of you.
yeah.
And on that note, it's time we said goodbye.
See you guys. I'll get my sound
See ya.
sorted next
Bye-bye.
week. See you.
See ya. Bye bye.